Alright, so what I want to do next is to adjust the screen size. So my output window is this screen here, and it has a certain dimension on the x-axis, the horizontal axis, and also on the y-axis, the vertical axis. And I want to specify it myself, right? So it might be negative 500, positive 500, negative 500 on the y, and then positive 500 on the y, with 0, 0 being the center of the screen. I don't know if you noticed this, right? But let me go ahead and go to my sketchpad. If this is our window, right, our turtle appears in the center of the screen, and there is an x-axis and a y-axis. So here's the x-axis, and here is the y-axis. And in Runestone, I believe it's 250. I might be off. And then negative 250. And then positive 250 is the top of the screen, and then negative 250 is the bottom of the screen, with 0 being in the center. So 0 on the x is here in the center of the screen, and 0 on the y is the middle of the screen as well on the y-axis. And the turtle appears at 0, 0. He always appears in the center of the screen, right, pointing in that direction. And so what I want to do is I want to make my screen my own dimensions, right? I don't know what it is in PyCharm. I believe it's negative 500, positive 500, and then positive 500, negative 500 that way. But I want to specify what the dimensions are, and what I want it to be is does not look like this, right? I want it to look like this. I want my 0, 0 to be here in the bottom left corner. And I want the x-axis to go up to 1000. And I want my y-axis to go up to 1000 as well. Okay, so how do I do that, right? Well, there's a command called set world coordinates. So if you say screen.set world coordinates, right? And it's a method, a turtle method, where we can set the coordinates of the screen. And so you might be thinking, okay, well, how does Mr. Lee know this, right? Well, if I open up a tab and I say Python turtle, right, I can go ahead and click on this second link here, the Python documentation. And if you click here, you'll see, man, there's every possible method that's available, right? Did you know that forward has a shortcut? You could use FD. Backward, also there's a backward. You could use back or a BK. Right has a shortcut. You can use RT instead. Right? So there's all of the different methods that you can use to manipulate the turtle, but there's also the different methods that you can use to manipulate the screen. Okay. So I'm going to Command F, and I'm going to search for set world coordinates. And I'll click on this guy. It'll take me down to the documentation, and let's go ahead and take a look at it this way. So what does it do, right? Well, I'm going to say wn.setWorldCoordinates, and it takes in 4 arguments, right? x1, y1, x2, y2. What is x1? x1 is the x-coordinate of the lower left corner of the canvas. y1 is the y-coordinate of the lower left corner of the canvas. x2, which is the third argument, is the x-coordinate of the upper right corner of the canvas, and y2 is the y-coordinate of the upper right corner of the canvas. Okay, so this documentation is where I get all these commands. I'm like, oh, well, you have this problem. Why don't you use this method? And you, as a student, might be, well, I've never heard of that method before, right? And so this is the web page that I go to to figure out what is possible to do with the turtle. Okay, so we have set world coordinates, right? And so what we can do here, of course, our program is going to lie right here in between the exit on click and the setup, right? And I'm going to go ahead and put it right here. I'm going to do wn.set world coordinates, and it's going to take an x1, a y1, an x2, and a y2. All right. And what are these x2, y2s, and all this stuff? Well, let me go ahead and draw it out on the screen here. Okay, so if we have this x axis and the y axis, what the x1, y1 are are the location of this bottom left corner of the screen, x1, y1. What's the x2, y2? It's the location of the top right corner of the screen, right? So using set world coordinates, we could set this number to be whatever we want, and we could set this number to be whatever we want. Right? If we wanted the width of the screen to be 1000 with 0, 0 in the center, we could run set world coordinates with -500, -500, and then we could also do +500 for the x2 and a +500 for the y2. What would that mean? That means that this is my x1, y1, which would be this point, right? And then this here would be my x2, y2, which would be this point, right? So then over here would be -500, over here would be +500, down here would be -500 on the y, and up here would be +500 on the y. So altogether, I would have a screen that's 1000 pixels wide, 1000 pixels tall, and 0, 0 in the center, right? But again, I don't want this kind of a screen. I want a screen where 0, 0 is at the bottom left corner. And I want it to be 1000 wide. And I want it to be 1000 tall. Okay. So what needs to be my x1, y1, x2, y2? Well, my x1, y1, these guys should be this point here. Right? And in this world, what is that point? I want to make it 0, 0. Okay, so my set world coordinates is going to be 0, 0 for x1, y1. And then my x2, y2 is going to be this point here. Right? And what do I want that in my world? I want it to be 1000, 1000. So in my set world coordinates, I'm going to do 1000, 1000. Okay? And if I do that, I get this type of a world. So let's come back over here. And so x1, y1 is going to be 0, 0. My x2 is going to be 1000. My y2 is going to be 1000. And I go ahead and run it. And I get this. Okay. And what do I have? I have a screen where my 0, 0 is the bottom left corner. And that's why my turtle appears there. If you see that little black arrow, that's my turtle. Turtle always appears at 0, 0. And then if I go to the right 1000 pixels, I'll reach the right side of the screen. And if I go up 1000 pixels, I'll reach the top of the screen. And so, yep, I'm ready to go.